Ralph Kruger, probably a month ago or so now, said that conversations up until that point had been excellent between yourself, Leslie, and him. I know you said you're going to talk about it at the end of the season next week, but have you spoken anything about your situation and where it could be going?
No. I know. Of course, I know the thoughts of the club for the future in my position. I know, of course, but I think what I have to do as a manager first is to prepare your team for the last game, and I think it's really a good moment to sit together next week, and then we will see what happened.
From your point of view, are there certain things you want to achieve at this club that you want to hear next week?
Of course, but they, of course, everybody knows what we like to do, that we like to grow, that we like to improve, and that we will fight for win titles or fight for European football on a regular basis. And of course, but that's sometimes difficult, because it's not all about money, because Leicester showed this season it's not all about money, but it's important to know what we can do to still to improve our team and to be stronger, because that's, in my opinion, that's ambition. If you don't have that ambition, I think you start to be sloppy, and that's not what I like to be.
In your eyes then, at the moment, it seems like there's next week, and then it could be wrapped up very quickly, your own future here.
Yeah, that's possible, but it's always depending the conversation.
If what you hear is from them when you speak to them next week is what you want to hear, is that enough for you to be convinced to stay, regardless of any other interest or any other clubs?
Yeah, but on one side it's maybe in the Premier League different than we have it in Holland, because I was 3 seasons coach of Feyenoord and I signed every time for 1 year. And still I have 1 year more contract. But the other side, I can understand the club about the future, about players, signings, that they like to know if the manager likes to stay for more years. I understand that. But the other side, because I'm the same till my last day of my contract, and I'm not a different manager than when I have 3 years more contract. And I don't believe in, if the manager if he finishes his contract, that players are different, because then they are not good players, because then I don't accept that mentality. But the point of view from the club, I can understand that they like to know what will happen after this season.
From your personal point of view, in principle, you seem very happy here. You've been very successful.
That's true. Yeah. But of course, and I know about football. Today is it sunny? Tomorrow is raining. Yeah, and that's also football. But everybody knows what football is, and of course you can have a planning, and you can have so many more years of contract. But if we don't win next season, then the manager maybe is not that manager what the manager is now, and that's football. But okay, we will talk about it next week.
In terms of the progress this season, what can you, in your mind, what are the big things that have progressed in amongst the team and the squad over this year compared to last?
I think the difference is that we have this season a stronger squad with more competition what we had last season. I think the team is more consistent than it was last year, and but also the belief and the spirit was also on the very good way in our first season, and we played good football. We did not score enough in our away games, but we have some great performances at home. We beat all the big clubs, and I think everybody can be proud about Southampton, but maybe I need to say this after Sunday, because of course we like to finish strong this season and to win the game, but we need to understand it's a difficult one. We need to be at our best, and then it's a fantastic season, and younger players are improving. I think the team looks even more stronger than it was last year, and players learn from Premier League seasons, and that's good, because that's all about developing as an individual player, as a team, and all together. It's very good.
Just throwing it a tiny bit further ahead, have you come up with plans for pre-season this year, and where you want to go with the players, what you want to do with them, and obviously you've got the disruption of the European Championships this year, so a lot of them will probably come
but
back late.
already in the last 2 months we are talking about the pre-season, and it's not really everything is done, but the most of the pre-season is done. But of course it means a lot if we play for Europe or straight European League or qualification like last year, then you need to change maybe something in your pre-season, but it's most of that business is done for the pre-season.
Do you think that Southampton will be stronger next season than this season? Even more strong?
I don't know. Depending if we can keep everybody in for next season, and then yes, I still believe in developing the team, in developing the individual player, and that players learn from his first Premier League season, like Virgil, like Klaasie, Suarez, Cedric, and yeah, that's good, because that makes the team even more stronger, and maybe we can do sign a very good player, and then okay, we like to every season we like to have a better team.
Do you think that you will be able to keep the team this summer? So the last 2 summers at this club, there's been a lot of ins and outs. Do you think that this summer will be
No,
different?
we don't. We will not have many changes, but we know the situation. We know we are Southampton, and of course we try to keep everybody in, but still, for a Southampton football player, if comes a big team, Champions League, it's always interesting for the player, and that's normal, and I can understand that.
Obviously in January you said no one was going to leave. In the summer you take a more relaxed approach and sort of take it as...
The summer is of course I can mention to the club that nobody can leave the club, but it's also I'm not. I don't make the last call in this club, and that's by the board, and then finally the board is the decision about the players.
And in terms of people coming in, what sort of positions do you think you need to strengthen still?
No, that's not good. First we need to play Sunday, and then after maybe it's a better time to play, of to talk about. But if you talk about different positions, that means that I'm not happy with the players who can play out of that position, and that's not the respect what I like to give to my players.
Okay, so that wasn't what I was getting at. It was more in terms of numbers of players coming in. Then
but
would you just 1 or 2, or would you like?
But it's always difficult. It's depending a lot of circumstances what can happen in the summer.
Last season you had interest in Tony Vlena from Feyenoord. Now he's out of contract and free to go. There are some rumours that he's going to Italy. Is he in the picture at Southampton?
It's an interesting player, what I mentioned already 2-3 times before this, but we have at the moment enough midfield players. That's maybe our most strongest line in our team, and it's not at the moment that we are focused on that player.
Okay. And because of the Dutch players at Southampton, Van Dijk is Player of the Year. Klaasie was struggling in the beginning of the season. How do you see the developments of your Dutch players at the moment?
Oh, very positive. I think Virgil deserves these titles because I think he had really a big impact in the team, and Jordi because also in Jordi is the physical aspect what he needs to improve, and he will be that player next season. But he learned a lot. He knows what the Premier League is. He plays some very good games, and he will be stronger and a better player for next season.
Thank you.
Ronald, you've always said in the past about players that are happy here, and if they're not, then kind of no good for them being here. Does your sort of current personal assessment of you being here and your happiness, is that kind of the key to going forward? Obviously, at the moment you're happy, that kind of says it all in terms of this talk about you extending the deal, possibly going elsewhere, that kind of thing.
No, of course, one is you need to be happy, because if you're a happy man, then you can give your best out of yourself, and that's for me not the question about my future. The question about my future is how we can improve, how we can be more stronger than we are, and everybody likes to be stronger than we are, and everybody get more money than this season, but that's all the questions, and that's what we need to talk about.
Just one more question about players. Earlier in the season, you talked about Graziano Pello's got one more year left in his contract. Is there any update on that?
No,
Maybe you're going to update this year?
no wish.
Put his contract on the table for him ending?
No, but there's no update about his position of yes or no for next season, because he has 1 year more contract, and it's a different age of the player. And of course, if you have a player of 22, 23, like Klein last year, yeah, then it's a different situation with 1 left year contract.
You've got a game on Sunday. I think we've forgotten that.
I know.
You could finish 8th, Ronald. You could finish 5th, depending on if Bournemouth could beat Manchester United. So will you be a Bournemouth fan on Sunday for the day? Because it'd be a great achievement to finish above United, wouldn't it?
Yes, we know, but I like to be first Southampton fan, and after Southampton, I support Stoke. I will support West Brom, and finally I will support and hope that Bournemouth get a win on Old Trafford, because that maybe it missed that big thing for them this season, because they did a great job in the Premier League.
There's been a good relationship between the two clubs, really, and the fans, bearing in mind that's supposed to be your fierce rival.
Yeah, we gave them 3 points when we play over there, and then they can do something back tomorrow.
How important is it to actually get into Europe? Because obviously you went last year and didn't even get to the group stages. There always seems to be a lot of hype this end of the season. Teams saying, "Oh yes, we must get into Europe," but then a lot of teams don't play their best teams in the early stages and get knocked out. Will you try and do better next season if you get into Europe?
Yes, of course. If we get the chance, we will do. And I did not change a lot in the qualification matches for the European League, because we like to be part of Europe, because for the club is that amazing, for the fans, and of course we know the difficulty between the European League on Thursday, the Premier League in the weekend. But I think our squad also for this season, and we hope for next season, will be strong enough to compete in different competitions.
That maybe you can skip the qualification this year and get straight into the group stages.
That will be the best, because then you get a normal pre-season, and to get a normal pre-season is always the best for the season.
And is the Champions League now a bigger incentive for that competition? It gives it an extra edge.
Yeah, but okay, that's the most ideal in football, that you be part of the Champions League, because that's really the most strongest competition. But we know we are Southampton. Till so far we talk about European League.
There's a route.
No, that's the ambition to get every time more closer to the position that you fight for Champions League, of course. And Leicester showed us. West Ham was close by, but still we can beat West Ham on the table.
And finally, how satisfying will it be? You've got 7th position is the highest in the Premier League, 60 points is the highest in the Premier League, and you can beat both on Sunday.
That's fantastic. To get that chance is already fantastic. And if you reach it, it will be incredible. But we know in football it's difficult because everybody spoke about last season. It was so special one. And now, 1 game to go, we can beat that record and we can beat the 7th record position on the table. And that's amazing. But let's first do it. And then we have time enough to enjoy what happened this season.